It'd be interesting, doing it together, having something that we're bouncing off each other and supporting each other with. Because we've had to really quickly come together as a partnership, and we talked about this last night about what is a conscious partnership. Is there such a thing? I mean, everyone's got a different perception of conscious relationships, but we're all human. We all do human stuff. It's not to be in a conscious relationship, but to be conscious in a relationship.
Yeah, exactly.
And same with parenting too. Like, we're going to have our own conditioning and our own days where we're feeling certain things that maybe conscious words won't come out, but just to be bear witness and pay attention to when we do say things that maybe we need to really reconsider and think about what our motives are, where it comes from, and to be able to say sorry and apologise when we do something wrong and be okay with that.
Yeah, exactly.
I think being conscious is actually being okay with doing things that are wrong and right.
Yeah. Together,
and I guess parenting too.
Yeah, very much so. Yeah, I think it's a big thing to just be aware and to be able to get ego out of the way enough to admit when you've made a mistake and to say sorry and certainly in relationships, but in parenthood as well. Again, going back to that thing of thinking that as a parent we know all there is to know and about life, and this child doesn't know anything, but really it could be argued that a child knows more about life than we do as adults, because they haven't had to be preconditioned with the amount of bullshit that we've been preconditioned with, especially toddlers or whatever. They haven't had to go to school or work or be amongst this cultural paradigm, which is, life is beautiful, the world is beautiful. I'm so stoked to be alive, and it is fantastic, but the culture that we live in, and there's many different cultures of course, but we'll talk about this global culture, isn't really healthy, really. It's not conducive to health and well-being, and it affects us as we grow up as individuals, unless you can be aware of it and you understand, okay, this is how it works, I can see what's going on here, I'm just going to stay true to myself. A child doesn't have to contend with any of that. And that brings up the question then, how do you, in that knowing you're going to bring a child into that framework, into this culture, how do you prepare that child for it? You can't cotton wool them.
No, they've got to experience things.
They've got to experience things too. But I think the most important element is to teach them to be aware, just to teach them to learn, like teach them how to learn and teach them how to be aware, rather than teaching them the ways of the world necessarily, of the constructed world. Teach them about themselves.